Why does it get more difficult the more I do it? Like, what's up with that? Isn't life supposed to get easy? Isn't it supposed to get easier the more I work on myself? Because I'm working on myself. Isn't that the point? Why do I feel crap? Hey, here we are. Welcome back, Jesse Dawson podcast. Another episode. Welcome. Thanks for joining me once again. It's great to have you here. If you are here, that'd be great if you were, because I'm alone right now talking into a microphone and a camera. So it'd be great if you were here. So this episode, what are we talking about? Why are we here? We're here because we're going to be talking about why do I feel shit? The more work I do, the worse it gets. The more I work on myself, the worse I feel. It's all a lie. It's all absolute fabrication for rich people to make money and continue making money on the backs of lies and just scamming everybody left, right, and center. So that's why we're here. We're here because I did some self-help work and it got a little bit tough. So what am I even talking about here? What am I talking about? I'm not here to talk about how people who are coaches and self-help gurus, if they're a guru, stay away. That's my advice. But self-help people and coaches and psychology and any sort of work on yourself, self-development, and anything to do with pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Why does it get more difficult the more I do it? Like, what's up with that? Isn't life supposed to get easy? Isn't it supposed to get easier the more I work on myself? Because I'm working on myself. Isn't that the point? Why do I feel crap? So, got to give you a couple of analogies, a couple of stories here to actually unpack this properly. So the first off is, before you even got to the self-help world, the self-development world, geez, that was a loud bang. Whatever just happened out there, that was huge. I don't know if you heard that in the microphone, but that sent shivers down my body. So I hope nobody died. It's probably just a hammer or something. Lost my train of thought now. Where was I? Yeah, before you joined the personal development world, before you were involved in working on yourself, bringing up your issues and becoming a more whole person, a more fulfilled person, living a deeper and more meaningful life, before that ever came along, you were a kid and you grew up and whatever it is, maybe you're still a kid, maybe you haven't grown up, maybe you're an adult and you're still a kid inside, whatever the combination is. At one point, everything was just sunshine and rainbows. Nothing was wrong. You were growing up, you were doing your thing, you're living your life, you're going to work, you got your career, you're looking after your family, whatever it is. And it was all sunshine and rainbows, and there was nothing wrong with your existence. You didn't question yourself, you didn't say, what is there anymore? You were just happy. You're just happy. Because anybody who's happy isn't listening to this right now or watching this right now. If you're happy, you've never even heard of this. Because you're fine. You don't need to be looking for anything extra. You're happy already. So anyone who's here, welcome. We've all been in the same place. We've all been in the place where we're looking for more. We're asking questions. We're saying, is this it? Is this all there is? There's got to be something else, or how do I stop feeling so crap? Whatever it is, or just asking questions and then you end up here. So welcome, for one. And then, the rainbows, the sunshine, the beautiful meadow. That was, sprouting flowers and daisies and birds were flying past and tweet and animals and, little puppies and baby kittens and baby bunny rabbits. They were all running around doing their thing, right? Bliss. Absolute bliss. And eventually bliss becomes hell because you can't stay in that forever without any sort of meaning, without starting to ask, is this it? Because it can't just be all sunshine and rainbows, right? It can't all be sunshine and rainbows. And then that's when you start noticing, whoa, maybe it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Maybe it's that there is actually something more. And then time passes and the meadow slowly becomes less vibrant and there's less animals running around and less birds and less rainbows, less sunshine and more cloudy. And then it goes on and on. You leave it because you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to fix this. It's like, oh my God, something's happening here, and I don't know what's happening. But everything's falling apart. It's all It's all shit. Oh my God. And the meadow becomes, if you can hear that hammer, they're doing construction in the office next door and there is nothing I can do about it. But let's just say for every hammer blow that you can hear, that's just one more reason you need to be here. All right? That's what I'm doing. Every time I hear the hammer, it's more reason I need to do this. So eventually the meadow becomes like a dead weed garden and there's no animals running around, there's no birds, there's no sunshine, you haven't seen the sun in months, you haven't seen the rainbow, you don't even remember what a rainbow even looks like, and it's just dead and it's becoming an utter, filth. It's just filth everywhere, decaying filth. And that's because you didn't know how to fix it. So at first you're like, oh, everything's great, fine. As you move, you're like, oh, maybe everything's not okay. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit lack of whatever, or maybe I'm just thinking there's more. And then you're like, oh, well, now I still feel like that, and I'm still carrying on. It hasn't gone away. So what do I do? And then you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. And it gets to a point where the meadow's dead, and you're like, I need to fix this. I need to solve this. Whatever this is, I need to change. I need something. Something has to happen. I don't know what it is, but something. And then you end up here. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because at first you didn't realize you had problems. At first you didn't know that really the meadow was an illusion. There never was a meadow. There never was birds and baby animals. There was just always dead, decaying weeds, covered, presenting themselves as a meadow, presenting themselves as baby animals and grown animals for that matter. And trees and lovely smells and all that. But really, it was the package you were sold in the first place. Before you even got into the self-development world, before you're even here, you were sold something, and now you're like, oh, I didn't get what I bought. This isn't what I purchased. This crap. So now we're in the weeds. We're realizing that there's actually a load of crap there, and that as you've been standing or sitting on this hill for however long, or at the bottom of a hill, or wherever you chose to sit, under a tree, on a bench, whatever it is, you were sitting there watching this meadow slowly die, and then now you're like, I'm sick of it, I need to do something. So you decide to get up and start walking. And as you start walking, you're heading towards the self-development world, the world that needs you to live deeper and deeper and slower, not as fast, and have more meaning, and start to solve some of the incongruencies in yourself, some of the cognitive dissonance, some of the pain, or some of the not quite right. Can't quite put my finger on it, but I think something's not right in my heart and in my head. So I need to figure it out. So you start walking, start reading books, you start exercising, you start going and getting coaching, you start going to a psychologist, you get help. And then as you walk through the decaying valley of filth, that's what I'm calling it. Maybe that's what the episode would be called, the decaying valley of filth. You start to realize that from when you first started walking, you could see a couple of dead leaves here, some weeds, some carcasses. I don't know. I'm really painting this picture on thick. And there's not much clouds. Not much sun. Too many clouds. Just crap. In my mind, it's just an awful place to be. And that's what you can see. But you can't see anything else because you haven't gone anywhere else. You're just looking at like a painting. And then if you were to walk into the painting, all of a sudden you can see the rest of the landscape. And as you're walking, you realize there's more. There's more death, and there's more weeds, and there's more crap. And it's just piled. There's rubbish, there's tips, there's like flies, there's parasites. I don't know, I'm trying to stack it on. It's really bad. And as you keep walking, you find more and more and more. So when you started off in the journey of, I think there's something wrong and I can't really tell, so I'm going to start looking to see if I can find a solution, or see if there's something there. Or you talk to a friend about it and they're like, oh, you should try this out. And you read this book and it opens up a whole world because you didn't realize there was so much. So to get back to the original point of why do I feel so crap when I'm trying to work on myself, you start working on yourself, you start walking through the valley because for some reason you know that on the other side of the valley, somehow it's going to change because it has to change. And even if it's to the point where, the whole world's dead, but eventually evolution happens and it re-sprouts and grows again, eventually it has to happen. It has to. So you start walking. You know that if you keep walking, you're eventually going to get there. But to get there, you have to walk through the crap. You have to dig through the shit. And then as you're digging, you find out that now you've hit rock, and your shovel's not going to be good enough to go through the rock. And you try, and you end up shaving away half the shovel, and you don't know what to do. You need some more tools. You need more things to handle it. So, full circle back around. So you start off in a great place. You move through your life. You found out something was missing. You decide, I'm going to start tackling this. So you start reading books. You start doing that, as I said. And as you walk through, you find more and more stuff. That's not very empowering. It's not very nice to, find out that you're going to be walking through more of your shit, through more of the rubbish, through more of the trauma, and through more of the nasty stuff that you've just kind of ignored until you decided, I'm going to walk through it, until you decided it's a little bit too much and I need to change something. I feel really crap right now, and I don't know what it is I need to solve or what's even wrong. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. So you start walking through the journey. You start discovering more, and that's why you feel crap as you begin, because you're uncovering more of the stuff you've been ignoring this whole time. It's always been there. It's always been there. You're just looking over here. You're like, oh, this great. Whoa, no. Over here. This is where I'm focusing on the nice things. But as you ignore this, monsters have been breeding over here. Flies have turned into parasites, and parasites have turned into flying people eaters, and it's just been festering over here, and bacteria and everything's been growing. So by the time you actually then looked at it, you only saw the slither. You saw the tiny. So let's say right here down the middle of my face here. That's meadow and brilliant. And then you just turned your head like that little bit, right? And now you saw that slither of, oh, that's crap. So I need to address it. So you turned a bit, and as you turn into the self-development one, as you do more work, as you pull away the surface layer of lies and what you tell yourself to feel okay, you hit the true shit, the crap you need to deal with. And that's why you feel bad. It feels bad because you're discovering more. It's kind of, I don't know. I think this has sunk in. I'm not sure, because I haven't got you to feed back to me. But if you stuck a pin in your hand, that would hurt. And if you stuck another one in, it would hurt more, because now you got 2 pins. And if you stuck 20 in, you'd have 20 pins worth of pain. And that's essentially what's happening, is that you're discovering more pins, you're discovering more dirt, you're finding out more things that you've been ignoring and suppressing that have been there the whole time. It's not that you're walking through the meadow and then all of a sudden you notice something and you're like, oh, and then you spiral into despair and create all these problems that you never had before, and like, oh, I just wish it was the way it was before, because you don't, because you still had all of that. And in fact, just walking through the what did I call it? The Decaying Valley is progress. Even one step is progress, and it's better than where you were. And the meadow has some things in it that are positive to take, back to the world. It's just the things that stop you dealing with the real things within you, the stuff deep inside that you've suppressed, maybe from childhood, maybe from some really bad experiences you might have had in school, or from just your expectations not being met, and or setting too high expectations and beating yourself up. Those kinds of things, they create all kinds of turmoil in your world, in your mind, in your heart. So walking through the valley is the answer. So it gets crap, and it gets really crap, and you keep walking and you discover more crap, and you discover more crap, and your legs start getting tired, and there's bugs landing on you, and you're fighting off monsters, and you just think, this is never going to end. This is never going to end. This is so much worse than where I was when I started. This is the biggest lie, the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard anyone say, because I've just started this journey and I've been the worst I've ever been in my whole life. And I wish I'd never started. And then a lot of people give up. And then they start saying, it's all a lie, it's all false, it's just a con, they're just trying to get rich, they're selling your program to say that it doesn't work, and It's just to take the money off the poor and keep exploiting their riches and blah, 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 right? Because of the bad experience, because the person gave up. And I'm sorry if that has been you in the past. You know, I've given up on things and then said they were bad, and it turns out it was me. And I had to own that. So if that's you, I'm sorry. And it's not, it's really crap. It's really shit. It's shit to get to that point if you fall off the path and then you fall off the path in the middle of the valley. And then you've got all this crap and you feel terrible and you're a hurt person. You know, and then you become bitter and you become all these things that aren't great, and they're not resourceful, and they hurt the people around you. And that's why you end up in a worse place, and that's why you feel worse the more you go in. So what's the point of knowing this? Again, why do you need to know this? Because you need to know you need to keep going. You need to know you need to pick up your knapsack, bang it over your shoulder, and keep on walking. You need to keep going, keep working through the stuff, keep sharing your emotions, keep building up your needs and standing for your boundaries and setting goals and ticking them off, even if they're small, even if they're, I get out of bed today. Brilliant. Or if it's, you know, I'm running a 500-person team, we're launching a new product and everything's being delivered on time. Amazing. Milestone. There's no difference between those two. They're just as important as each other. You need to keep going. You need to keep getting up and keep going. If you don't have a job, get a job. If you don't have a job and you're studying, study your ass off. You know, get really in there. Dive in. If you haven't got friends, go do some social stuff. Branch out. Start like talking to people. Join a club. Start some hobbies and meet some people doing hobbies. Or if you're a gamer or something, get in the games. Find friends through the forums or through matchmaking games or whatever it is. And if you're in a book club, book clubs I've never heard anything good about. People talking about people. I'm sorry, if you're in a good book club, I'll shut up. But you need to keep going, is the point I'm trying to make here. You need to keep trudging through the rubbish, dealing with one thing at a time. Stop looking at the entire valley as well. Stop trying to look at the entire valley of just decay. There's no point. Pick one thing up. Pick one item up off the ground and say, I'm going to deal with this today, or this week, or this month. This is what I'm focusing on. And then you deal with it, and then, you know, that goes into the meadow. That goes into the positive. And then, you know, you learn things about yourself. You learn to become more of you. You learn to handle more of what's coming. Because the bad news, after all of this of what I'm saying, the bad news is that you do get through the valley, right? The valley does happen, but it's not because the valley changes, right? It's always going to be that valley of decay. It's always going to be that. All of a sudden, your perception of the valley changes. And then you're like, you know what? It actually wasn't even that bad. And it brightens up. The color comes back. And you think, you know what? That thing that I first saw when I was sat back at the bench wasn't even really a problem. I was making a big deal out of nothing. But I'm glad I did, because now I'm here. And you learn to cope with those things. The problems that you used to have, that you once would have given up trying to tackle, are now nothing. They're just like, psh. People come to you with the same problem. You're like, you're serious? That's a problem? That's a problem for you? Okay. And that's where you need to become humble and say, okay, no, that is a problem for them right now, because I remember when I was there, because I started this journey once upon a time too. And your perception changes, and then the decaying valley turns back into the meadow. Turns back into the meadow. There is life. There is colour. There was baby animals the whole time. And you learn to handle it. You become more you. You learn to handle it. You start becoming more happy, feeling less crap, because you've dealt with some of the real crap. You know, at first, the first section of the valley is like the warning signals, if you will, and then you get into it and you're like, wow, I really feel broken. But you're never broken, because it's all there. You are whole. It's just a perception on that. So as you keep walking, you keep trudging through, keep reading books, you keep sharing your emotions, you keep building better relationships, hitting goals, doing things that make you happy, all of a sudden the whole thing shifts and you're back in the meadow sipping coffees and milkshakes and I mentioned that in the previous podcast. And you're eating the best food you could ever have, and maybe you've enhanced your life and your relationship and your friendships and your family's life, or the life of your future family that you're going to have if you don't have one already, like myself. And you have that gift to give on. And that's the beauty of it. And you get to a point where you can choose whether you're going to be passing on that gift or you're going to let it die with you. And letting it die with you is kind of crap. So you end up passing those nuggets on and helping other people and doing things you never thought you would. So when it comes to feeling crap and feeling worse than when you did when you first started, 2 questions you have to ask yourself is this just me discovering more of me and needing to learn and grow, or am I actually walking the wrong path here? Because if to make a very obvious case in this instance, if you were to walk down a path of drug addiction, that's not the solution at all. Walking that path might make you feel good in the short term because you're like, this is the right way to go. I'm starting to feel better. But then you crash down hard and it's way worse than it's ever been. And that's a really bad place to be. That way worse is a genuine way worse. But most way worses are just a feeling that something's happened. You're like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know who I am if that changes, or I don't know who I am when I've just now realized that that's true. So you just need to keep going. You need to keep taking one step at a time, one step down the valley of decay, and it will turn back into the meadow, and you'll be back spick and span, back to yourself, and maybe you can pass those nuggets of gold on as well. So that's today's episode. That's it. I didn't drink enough water because my throat's getting sore on this one. It's only short. Like, I'm not here for very long. I've noticed my episodes aren't that long because I'm not going back and forth with a dialogue. So I think this is going to be the format roughly around here. But I'll talk a topic to the end of the topic. So I'm not going to set a time limit on what my episodes are going to be like. They are going to be long form, but some might be an hour. I might sit here for an hour and just talk and continuously talk because the topic could be that deep, and sometimes not. And that's I'll give the topic itself. We'll talk about the concept. We'll talk about how it benefits you or how it doesn't, for as long as I need to, as long as I feel like it is worthy, and then we can go forward from there. So if this has been of value to you, or you know someone this could be of value to, absolutely share it with them. But I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear, do you guys remember when you were back at that point where you're like, I think something needs to change? I absolutely remember when that was the case for me. And it was actually a life-changing moment. And then I've continued those moments ever since. And it's an ever growing process. Eventually the meadow that you then discover again becomes another valley of decay. And you need to grow to the next person. You need to become the next person. So it's a continuous loop. It'll never end. It'll never become the end of your journey. And that's kind of a point you need to get on too. So I just realized that's a point while I was wrapping it up. So to keep that in mind as well. If it's getting worse, it usually means you're on a path towards growth. So walking through the valley, the worse you feel, the better. That's good because it means you're making progress. It means you're putting yourself in uncomfortable places and you're going to be growing. So keep that in mind. But anyways, I was wrapping it up. I'm going to wrap it up here. I might save that for a part 2 maybe and go a bit more in depth. Either way, I trust this was of value to you. If not, cool. Let me know it wasn't of value to you. That's great too. It's good feedback. And it means I know what kind of content you guys are liking. And send me messages, comment, like, subscribe, share. All the things that you want to do. Pick one, pick all of them. That'd be great. And I will see you in the next podcast. And we'll go from there. This has been the Jesse Dawson podcast. Thanks for your time. And enjoy your evening, night, afternoon, morning. And have a good rest of whatever it is for you. All right. See you guys.